In July of 2000, President Bill Clinton welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak and Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat to his presidential retreat at Camp David. Their aim was to end the decades-long conflict once and for all. After 2 weeks, they appeared tantalizingly close to a historic deal until the Palestinians pulled out and talks broke down. Later that year, violence erupted across the region to begin a Palestinian uprising known as the Second Intifada. By then, prospects of a lasting peace were long gone. Back with me, one of the key players from that summit, Ehud Barak. Prime Minister Barak, is that dream of a two-state solution, just a complete fantasy at this point? I mean, I think about the map that Clinton proposed right at the end, the so-called Clinton parameters, which I know comes from Dennis Ross and was not accepted by either side. But, it gives you a sense that there was a possibility of a kind of rational solution here. The Palestinians got in that map, which was not accepted, but it was close to what was being offered, 93%, 94% of what they had. Is all that dead with this wave of settlements that has taken place in the last 20 years and the Palestinian Authority not having much credibility anyway?
Look, it's not the right time to discuss it because we are now at war. And first of all, we are focused on eliminating the military capabilities of Hamas and making it out of the picture in the Gaza Strip. But if you ask me on the longer term, there is an old Roman saying, if you don't know which port you want to reach, no wind will take you there. And those who sail know that if you have a headwind wind, you have to zigzag in order to reach this objective. I never lose eye contact with this vision. It's not about dreams, it's about a vision for the future, which is needed for Israel, not because of justice for the Palestinians, because our own future security and identity. But there is a great debate in Israel. The other side of the political map, led by Netanyahu and these two racist messianic guys that he joined hands with, they have a different. They want one state. They want to block the whole thing. In a way, at the foundation of this conflict of the last 2 weeks sits their strategy was taken by Netanyahu in the last 5 years could be summarized in the sentence, Hamas is an asset and the Palestinian Authority is a liability, rather than the other way around. Because, why this? Because if the Hamas is still alive and kicking, no one can argue with us, start negotiation with the Palestinians. Since we can easily, the government can easily say, Abu Mazen does not control even half of his own people, and with the Hamas, no one will require from us to negotiate with terror organization. So basically, it's an indirect way to block the possibility of two states. So it's not the time to deal with it because we have to unite and first of all defeat Hamas on the ground. Later on, there will come a day when we left Camp David, I say whether it takes 5, 15, it's already more than 20 or 50 years. At the end, well, the time will come to make an agreement. It will come at certain point. You will need magnifying glass to see the difference between what was on the table and what will be concluded. And few years after a deal will be struck, no one can explain why the hell it took so long and needed to bury so many people on both sides.
Finally and quickly, Prime Minister Barak, you said Benjamin Netanyahu is to blame for the greatest failure in Israeli history. Can he survive as Prime Minister after this failure?
If you ask the people, they will tell you no. He got the trust, the mandate to build the government some 10 months ago or a little bit more. The trust evaporated during the 7th of October, totally. No one trusts, especially with these two Michiganders in his government. If you look at the polls that were passed in the last week, you will find that 70% of Israeli public wants Netanyahu to resign. Half of them wants him to resign immediately, others say at the end of the war. But in their mind, they have Israeli war. 6 days war was 1 week. 73 war, huge war, 3 weeks. The longest conflict in the last generation, 5 years ago, was less than 2 months. So they say, 2 months, let's bite our lips and fight and put it on the shelf. But when you start to think in terms of a long war that might take, as he mentioned, many months, probably few years, or more than a year, this is paved it in a different way. I don't believe that the public trusts Netanyahu to lead this war. Everyone is happy that Gantz and Eisenkot, two opposition leaders who both happen to be chief of staff of the armed forces, and one of them, Gantz, even Minister of Defense, that makes the people feel more secure that irresponsible decisions won't be made. But having said that, people would expect accountability. I kind of sorry to tell you that there is no Hebrew word for accountability. Think of the reason for it, but it's time to demand accountability. And I think that, everyone tells you, oh, he's over. It's not over. Netanyahu is focused on survival and on releasing himself, and what we call the poison machine, that blaming others and being responsible is working 24/7. Behind the scene, there are briefings against Gantz, against Eisenkot, against the army leadership, against the intelligence, everyone responsible except for the man at the top. The goal should be to eliminate any military capability of Hamas and its capacity to reign over the Gaza Strip. We do not intend to erase the ideology or the wishes and dreams of many members of Hamas, and it's all around the Arab world. They are part of a wider Muslim Brotherhood and AKP in Turkey and some people in Qatar. We cannot erase the Hamas as an entity, but as a operator, military operator in Gaza, and as the ruler of Gaza, we can do it. Of course, it cannot be completed from the air. It will need this massive ground operation with thousands, probably tens of thousands of boots on the ground.
The Biden administration is, from what best we can tell, cautioning Israel to be careful, not to go in too big, to kind of devastate Gaza completely. Again, you've done this. Is that possible? Or is the idea of going to have to go in massive numbers, go door to door, tunnel to tunnel, building to building?
Look, I would say that I never use the word inevitable in military affairs, but I would say that in 90+% that we'll see in the coming days a major invasion into Gaza Strip. It will take, even to take the northern part of the Gaza Strip, will take some time, probably 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks, depend on what pace it all be one, but to clean it from the physical and human resources of the Hamas might take many weeks or several months before it's completed. And we are aware, we do not intend to stay there forever. The whole operation has to face 4 different constraints. One is the hostages, the other is the risk that it will spread into much wider conflict with Hezbollah in Lebanon, probably others. The third one is how to manage this dialogue with the international law. We are committed to the international law, and we are fully aware that our universal support and legitimacy will erode a long time when the numbers of people who are citizens who are hit there will grow. In spite of the fact that the reason for them being there is the fact that Hamas coerced them into becoming kind of human shield. We are aware of these constraints, and the last one is the question to whom we can pass the torch, because we do not intend to stay there for years to come.